everybody, and happy 2025. It is a brand new year, and as promised, I am so excited to really kick off this new year with one of the most amazing guests that I feel like I've brought on personally. I've been super excited for this conversation. I think that everybody would probably recognize her name and the family that she has come from. Sin Setsochhata is the only
Hello.
granddaughter is the only granddaughter of the legend Elvis of Cambodia, Sinn Sisamouth. She is currently one of the leading artists in the new generation of Cambodian pop music and continues her musical journey while still honoring her grandfather's legacy. Growing in a musical household, she was exposed at a very early age in the ups and downs of being part of a famous family and growing up exposed to the music world. Today, we are here with her to discuss her experience through it all. Suchitao, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, ជំរាបសួរបង. Hello from Cambodia. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We have a new one coming out, the Cambodian New Year coming out in just about four
Yep.
months in April, but this is the first one.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
thank you. Thank you for having
yes,
me.
thank you, thank you. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, growing up. How did you grow up? I know in a lot of other articles, especially the Rolling Stone article, which I had recently kind of posted about previously in the previous years, but you mentioned how you grew up in a very kind of musical household. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so actually, like again, because I grew up in the musical household, like not only my grandfather was an artist, my father, even my mom, and then my brother, they are all artists. They are all singer. So
Mm-hmm.
growing up in the musical household is like something that you know, I've never acknowledged myself as one of the artists, among the family members, because I know that I have a voice. I can sing like since I was young, let's say 7 or 8 years old. Back then, everyone knows that I can sing and I have a voice, but I never consider myself as an artist, or like maybe having a dream of growing up being an artist. It's funny because it's just like everyone always say that, oh, if your father or your family member, let's say being a doctor, you should be a doctor too, right? And
Mm-hmm.
me, same to me. Like people expect me to be an artist, but when I was young, I never thought that I would be an artist. But time change, I mean, yeah, probably just because of a lot of stuff happening when we grow up. So even my perspective on seeing things also change. But growing up in the musical household is something that it's memorable, because I grow up in the morning listening to music, especially my grandfather's music. Like my mom's always play the music on, let's say, on the radio. Like she just turn on the radio, and the radio plays my grandfather's music, or we just play the CDs or DVD on the CD player to just listen to his music. And more than that, I mean, I grow up listening to American R&B music as well. So it's like a lot of music taste that I grow up with, not only the 60s and 70s Cambodian music. Yeah.
Is it hard then, you would say, to grow up with that kind of musical pressure? And you mentioned just now that you didn't really see yourself as an artist. Is there a reason why you kind of didn't take that on fully?
Mm. Just because I grow up seeing the hardships that my father went through, especially my father, because he was an artist, he was a singer, but back then we seemed not really get enough support. I mean, especially financially. So
Mm-hmm.
he need to going to the restaurant or the bar to perform at night, and he always came home late, let's say 1 a.m., 2 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m., and he always come back home getting drunk, because like
Mm-hmm.
like working as a singer here in Cambodia at the night club, let's say night bar or restaurant, it's not that easy. I mean, like you're not only be there to perform, you need to like accompany the customer, let's say like have one or two drink or maybe more, I don't
Right.
know, but he
Right.
always came home late and drunk. And we suffer from how the society compare like my father to my grandfather. That's also what I
Mm-hmm.
see and what I witness. And this is not only the thing that I can say that maybe being an artist is not one of my goal. Maybe being an artist is not one of my dream, because I see like being an artist here in Cambodia is not that easy, and you cannot make a living by being an artist here in Cambodia. That's the main reason, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I learned about kind of the unfortunate kind of legal setups when I watched the movie Elvis of Cambodia, which I know is a documentary that you were a part of about your grandfather and about your family. And it's a topic that, I want to get to later on in the podcast, but just kind of the financial structures and the lack thereof and the
Yeah.
lack of support that Cambodia kind of has around the music industry and like artists. Would you why do you think it was then that your grandfather was able to succeed so well? Granted, of course, the talent and
Mm.
just like the legend that he's built, but structurally, if you look back on it, is it just, do you think it was also kind of like luck, or was there support back then versus now, or why was that?
To me personally, I think, I mean, in each generation, there's always changes. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, let's say going back to the golden era of Cambodia, not only a musical industry, I can say that every industry here in Cambodia back to the 60s and 70s, let's call it the golden era, everything
Right.
was like, well prepared, well structured, and everyone is like, enjoy doing what they're doing or enjoy making their life, It's just like they just woke up and start working their job and they enjoy doing it. I can see it. I don't know what really happened there because I was not born in that era, but I can see and I can tell. And plus what I heard from my grandmother and my mother as well, like I can say that the support within the community is really important. For example, like in music industry there, like back then, um, I used to hear it from my grandmother and other, singer and artists from that era as well, saying that if you really need help, like let's say you compose a song, and then you just
Mm-hmm.
want the other artist to look up into it, and then like probably need their advices on that, they were just like going to that person and ask them for advice, and that person gonna give you back the feedbacks, and they respect each other advice and ideas. That's how we want to see it happen here right now, and especially in my father's generation. I mean, back to the 80s and 90s, it just like the period of time that we just came out of war, and everything just like, let's say, starting from zero again. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone needs help, and I don't know who can help who. It's really hard. So I can say that in my grandfather's era, or the golden era, like the support is one thing that I can see, like happening a lot, and how supportive they are to each other on, like
Mm-hmm.
let's say succeed in one thing. So I mean the synchronization, or let's say like how they work together, is what I can see, like could help better each other works and career as well at the same time. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, just more structure in
Yep.
general around the different industries that were thriving at the time. And I think this kind of goes back to a topic that I always bring up on this podcast, which are like, the unfortunate after effects of post Khmer Rouge era and
Yeah.
having everybody to like rebuild all the, not only their lives, but like the industries that were also just destroyed, and having to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And we talk about how, during the Khmer Rouge also, like, they targeted musical people, and it's like you go post-war and you're trying to rebuild an industry in the arts when there's not a whole lot of people left. And so it's I think you mentioned the word legacy a lot. You mentioned the word, destiny at times in some of your interviews. Can you talk a little bit about what that word means to you and how it ties in with your grandfather's legacy?
You know what, like growing up in the well known family, especially, let's just say, everyone recognized my grandfather as the golden voice of Cambodia. Like that title, that name is more than anything that I can describe of how proud I am to be born in this family. But at the same time, when I say a lot about legacy, it's also the pressure. You know, the word legacy is really a pressure, not only the legacy itself. Because again, just like I just told you about how the society compared my father to my grandfather, you know, it's not that easy to live your life as an artist. It's hard already.
Right.
And when you live in the society of, like I know that we cannot stop people from saying anything, we cannot stop people from thinking about anything, but at the same time, when the society put the pressure on you, for example, like you're the one who handle everything after your father, like the pressure is there, you can see and you can feel it, even if, like, maybe my family haven't talked much about that, but I can say that whatever that my father done and what I'm doing as well, I think that is something that I like, that's what I love. But at the same time, it just, I mean, like it has to be something more than just what I love. Because, I mean, I am here to preserve the legacy of my grandfather, but at the same time, I am here creating my own legacy. So it's not that easy. I mean, this journey is not an easy journey for me. But going back to see all of those legacy that my grandfather left for my family, I always feel proud, not only because I was born in the family to be his granddaughter, but I am proud because all of those works that he left for us, not only my family, but the whole Cambodian nation. I mean, like, people enjoy his music, people still love his music. That's what I'm proud of. So
Yeah.
carrying the legacy of my grandfather is really hard, but I think what is harder than that is creating my own legacy. And when it comes to my own journey and my own legacy, and that is also what I mentioned about, the word destiny, because again, I never thought that I would be an artist. But yeah, unfortunately, after my father and my brother passed away, I mean, I feel like the mission is not complete yet. I mean, their mission is complete. My father's mission is complete. My brother's mission is complete. But here I am, and here is my turn. It's time for me to complete the mission as well. And I feel like the mission is not completed yet. After my father worked really hard, like, let's say more than 10 years, to just for us to, having the ownership of, for now we only have 130 songs under our family ownership. So he worked more than 10 years just to get that. That was his mission. And right now, my mission is to continue working on that, but in another way. I mean, because like we're living in the digital world now, so we cannot just like have all of that under the ownership, but without digitalizing it. So I mean, like, this is my mission right now.
So thank you so much also just for sharing that kind of vulnerability. I know people I know people outside who don't grow up in like a famous family probably don't realize the amount of pressure and don't see
Mm.
it. But you being in the family, it's like everyone's it must be so difficult to feel like you're constantly being compared to like
Yeah.
the Elvis of Cambodia.
You're
It's
right.
it's very it's like how are you ever going to surpass that, and how is even the pressure that your father even felt to like try to surpass that if you can. And as you said, there's so many nuances. It was a different time, it was a different
Mm.
era, it was a different structure, a different support system. When you say you talk a little about ownership. Does the family currently own the currently own the songs that Sinn
Mm.
Sisamouth had produced, or or not?
Okay, well, so for that, I mean, like right now here in Cambodia, we own 130 songs. Like, we got the rights, because like the intellectual property law just started back when it was like 2014, I think. Yeah, so that the family got the right to own the song. First section was like 73 songs, and the second section we got more of like 57 songs. So right now we have 130 songs, but we don't own the sound recording.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
that's also what my family is trying to figure out right now, how to, work on that, and probably how we could do that to make sure that everything is like we can claim it back, or let's just say that we can own all of that by ourselves. So like right
Did
now that there's a lot more to figure out along the way.
Yeah, yeah. Back then, it's hard to know. Did your grandfather own the songs, or even then, no, because the you mentioned the property rights didn't really start until intellectual rights didn't start until 2014, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's hard to say if he really what were the rights back then? Do we know that, or no?
Not really,
Not
because
really.
I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
from my understanding,
Mm.
back then, for example, like currently, like here in 2024, let's say I work for the label, and then like the label own the master, the right of the master, but back then, in my grandfather era, for example, like the label want him to produce like 2 song or 3 song or 4 song, they pay him. They paid him to sing on their label. So he's
Right.
meaning that my grandfather was not under any label. Like
Right.
any label can, hire him to produce the song and release it
Right.
under the label. So I'm not really clear about that, and that's also what I'm trying to understand as well on how it worked back then and how it worked right now. So
Right.
it's a lot of things that I need to study and I need to discover more. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned you mentioned the mission that you're on now is very much kind of related to learning, as you said, about the differences and the rights, and making sure that I feel like the songs that your grandfather's songs are rightfully are rightfully within the family.
Yeah.
How does that mission relate to your mission of also just producing music, and where do they kind of collide? I know it's you mentioned that you didn't really want to be an artist in the beginning, but you do produce songs, you do create songs. When you say your number one mission right now, would you say it's music and producing music, or would you say it's kind of the more on the path of like learning about intellectual rights and really kind of gaining that for your family? Or is it both?
For sure, it's both. Because I mean, like, if I was not an artist right now, or maybe I haven't started my journey as an artist back then, probably the mission that I prioritize would be, just like, study more about intellectual property, and like,
Mm,
work on preserving my grandfather's legacy. But since I
Right.
start my journey as an artist, I mean, like I knew myself that I love to sing. I love singing. I love performing. I love performance as well. So I mean, after being an artist, after the journey start, I just feel like creating music, performing, and like let's say just like even singing is also one of my mission as well. And especially right now, my own journey as an artist, like I can say that I start to see it clearer, because let's say back then I was still exploring what is my taste, what is my color, what is my type of music. But right now I can say that I know my type of music, and I have the vision of how I want my music to sound like. I want my music to be, and also I want my whole art to look like. And also what messages that I want my audience to receive back from me. So for example, like I mean, like since I start the journey as an artist, the trilogy that I produced with my former music label Clap Your Hands is actually the trilogy talked about my life, talked about my family, talked about my journey as an artist, on how I see being an artist in the bigger picture, and also the very first step that I step into this journey. So until that I start another journey as an independent artist earlier this year. Another song just came out, and that song, the message behind that was like, I want to focus more on mental health, because I mean, as an artist, we haven't, like most of the time people never ask us like, how are you being an artist, how do you feel being an artist. It's not, it was just like they only see us as a entertainer. They just want us to entertain them, and that's it. And no one really care about how we feel. No one really asks of how could we make a living being an artist, right? So speaking up not only for my own self, speaking up not only about my feeling, but I start the journey of like start to spread out about and talk more about mental health, is also for my audience as well. Because if I have the voice, not only the vocal that I can sing, but I have the voice that I can speak up for other. So raising the awareness of mental health and start talking about how you feel is something, it's also one of my mission. So right now I have two mission in my hands. So I mean, it's for sure, like two things is not that easy of like which one I should prioritize, which one I should focus on. But at the same time I need to balance it, like maybe I should take some time to focus on my career as an artist, to create more song, to produce more song, but at the same time to look back and to preserve the legacy of my family.
think I think that is so brave to focus on the mental health aspect, because um, that's one of the things that I'm super passionate about, and my platform is all about putting light on mental health, especially for the survivors of the Khmer Rouge, but also second generation people who were in born in America like me, or in Australia or France. I From my understanding, because I know you're based in Cambodia, mental health is just not really, it's still very taboo in Cambodia. It's
Yes,
still very
true.
not talked about, not in the same way that it is currently in America or in Australia. So it's I think it's very brave to kind of want to tackle that subject and use your voice and your platform in that way. Tell me a little bit about, kind of going back to your musical journey. You mentioned that
Yep.
you dedicated the beginning to kind of exploration, and now you have kind of set in what you want your sound to be, what you want your look to be, what your message is. What is that sound? Well, I know you said the message is focusing on mental health, but what have you decided at this point is the tone of your music?
Honestly, Bong, like I said, I grew up in the musical household, like listening to Khmer music, listening to American R&B music as well. So R&B is also is always one of my, favorite genre, and also one of my type of music as well. Lately, I just see myself more into like soulful and jazz as well. And that's also what I'm trying to improve myself on, to compose the music that talk more about feeling, but to, create the music, or maybe working with the producer to make music that talks feeling. So soulful and jazz is also one is also the type of my music. And other than that, I mean, like, listening to my grandfather's music is also always bring me back to how he could see things in a different way than other singer or the other artists. Because if we like, I mean, even me myself, I haven't listened to all of his songs. So when I start to explore more of his music, I realized that, oh, he also make jazz music. He also sing jazz, but I never recognized it as jazz before. To me, it's just like Khmer 60 and 70 music, and that's it, nothing
Right.
else. But when I
Right.
when I start my journey as an artist, and I explore more of what type of music that I like, I can see that, oh, my grandfather did a lot of type of music, did a lot of genre back then. So I mean, to me, like, going back to listening to his music, also one of my inspiration as well, to explore more, to study more about my own type of music, but at the same time to explore more of how capable he was, like, creating different types of music. And that's what I still feel amazed about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look up to your grandfather's music and listen to that music as the golden age and the time when things were happy before the war, but also just representative of like this thriving era. I know that I myself grew up with listening Sisama. My parents played the songs, and a lot of the listeners kind of grew up with the songs. In 2019, you remade one of his songs, right? The one from Batambang, one of your grandpa's greatest hits. My dad actually was born in Battambang too, so I thought it was just like that's all, personally like one of my favorite songs. How did that experience help you reconnect with your grandpa? And just in general, what was that like to re-sing the lyrics and the words and the songs that he sang he sang back, 40, 50 years ago?
For me, Tumpapa Dumbong is always one of my favorite from my grandfather. And not only my favorite, but Cambodian people favorite, I can say.
Yes.
Because like, everyone can sing that song, everyone knows that song. And it's like, for sure, like, it's easy to sing, it's easy to remember, it's catchy, so people kind of enjoy it. And of course, like, it talks about Battambang, and people from Battambang, like, I mean, I can say that Battambang is the city of arts. So when talking about Battambang, I can feel the spirit of arts from Battambang. And when talking about Battambang, I always feel excited because I know that the place that my grandfather grew up, because like he spent most of his teenage life in Battambang, not in his hometown, Stang Trang province. So to me, to remake my grandfather greatest hit is one of my honor. It's like my honor. And I feel, people, probably when I say that, people not gonna believe it, but when recording that song, I when start singing Tumpapa Dumbong, I feel that both of my grandfather and my father were standing behind me and guide me. Because the remake of Tumpapa Dumbong, it sounds jazzy, it's not like the original one. And talking about that, there's a lot of, like, controversies about me as a granddaughter of Sinn Sisamouth remaking one of his greatest hit, but in another version, not one that follow the original one. There's a lot of controversies, but to me, I was ready when we start talking about remaking Tumpapa Dumbong in a jazz version. I was ready, and I feel like this is another taste of music, which we can bring back the old taste of music to another one, the new one. And I feel like people talk a lot about that. Some said that, oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't ruin the song is already perfect, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, or maybe you can just create your own song, just don't do that. But to me, before I start working on that project, let's just say I talked to him. I mean, I talked to my grandfather, like from here, because I cannot talk to him directly, but from here, I talked to him and I told him that, Grandpa, this is probably one of the things that let's say, it's risky, I know, but at the same time, I honor you in the name of one of the artists in the family, to remake your music, to remake one of the greatest hit of you. And I just want you to understand that I don't have any, even a thought of ruin your music, but I just want to bring it back. But I just want to make it my own version of Tumpapa Dumbong. And when I start talking to him like that, I mean, it helped. It calmed me down a little. And at the same time, I feel like maybe if my grandfather were alive, he would be 100% supportive, on what I'm doing. Because he was brave enough to, let's say, create his own music, to start working on the new taste of music. For example, like Mahauri, we use a Khmer traditional instruments. Mm-hmm. But my grandfather made Mahauri Chnai, which he used, modern music instrument, replaced the traditional instruments. That's also one of the bravest thing that I can say, that he take risk at that time to create something new. Why I cannot do that, So to me, there's like a mixed feeling of when I create the remake of Tumpapa Dumbong. But I feel like there's always something that inside of me telling me that if you are honest to your own purpose of doing something, you're not betraying your own self, then you'll be good.
Mm-hmm. No, I can see how, any anything you do, it's like people are always going to have an opinion. You know what I mean? People are
Right.
always going to have a way, something to say, good or bad. But I think if it's not you, who would be better at making a remake? Like, I mean, in my opinion, it's like if it's not the actual artist family member, then who is better to make the remake? I think something that people should remember, and as you mentioned, is like music is constantly evolving. You're never
Yeah.
gonna get music is alive. It's living. It's constantly evolving and changing with the times. It's reflective of the generation. Was it your idea to do the remake, or did somebody like approach you to do that?
Oh, so for that remake, actually, it was the song that Elvis, like the founder of Clap Your Hands, like back then, he also was the producer for the film In the Life of Music, and Champapa
Mm.
Dabong is the theme song of that film. So when he released it here in Cambodia, he just back then I was not joined Clap Your Hand yet. I was not a member of Clap Your Hand yet. So he contacted me to do the remake of Tumpapa Dumbong. Actually, when we start working on that, there's like a few version of it. There's like a
Mm.
slow one. There's like one that is a little bit faster. But then when talking to a producer, I told him that I'm interested in jazz, and I would love to try it. And then it was just like, yeah, he just like, jumping into making Tumpapa Dumbong into jazz. That's also the idea of the producer, and also one of my favorite type of music as well. So that's the combination of us, like trying to give it another taste of Tumpapa Dumbong.
Mm-hmm. I think it's so beautiful in my opinion. I think it's so beautiful for you to recreate something that's your grandfather's and then putting your own modern spin to it. I mean, it's if it's something that you felt like you had the conversation with your grandfather with and you felt like in your heart you had the approval from him, then that's all you need, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that's beautiful that you are allowing yourself to kind of follow your instincts and follow your heart when it says it's okay to do it, and when you've had that conversation with your grandfather and he said yes, um, I think that is so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Mom.
What is you talk a little bit about the music industry in Cambodia. So, are you currently writing and producing your own songs? And what is kind of the landscape like, the music landscape like in Cambodia right now?
Like music industry here in Cambodia right now, I can say that it's growing and it's improving a lot because
Mm.
let's say in the early 2000 we can see a lot of like Cambodian music, but it's like a copycat music, like people just translate, like back then because we don't have enough resource of what is right and what is wrong. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like we can just like take that song and translate it and take it as our own song. That's what happened in the early 2000 here in Cambodia. But starting from around like let's say 2014 or 2015, I can say the movement. I can see the movement of they call it the original artists, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone is like original, I can say, but it's just like the name that they put for the artist, like original artist, the one who
Right.
create their own music. Yeah, so the movement is something that I can see, and I can see the hopes and the lights, for Cambodian artists, especially for music industry. I can see the lights from there, and currently I can say that music industry here in Cambodia is growing, even if it's growing slowly, but it's growing and it's a good sign. But another thing that I feel like we don't reach there yet is the support. Again, going back to
Mm-hmm.
the very first, probably the first two questions that I answered, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
I can't see the supportive system, or maybe I heard it from the elder of how they support each other back then. I want to see that happen here in Cambodia right now because I can feel like I can see that we lack of that. We lack of the supportive system, especially let's say the community of Cambodian artists right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's competitive, but it shouldn't be competitive to the point where everyone just want to win each other. You know, we are the small circle of people. For let's say, I would just go there and see everyone in the event, and then to the next event, I would see the same faces. It's just like we one day gonna work together. Why don't we just come together and create things rather than compete with each other? The movement that I see from the original artists starting creating their own music, being creative and productive on working on the music video and all that. I love to see that, but I want to see more of how supportive we are to each other. For example, like the latest music video that I make, She, the song. I mean, me and my team, we we kind of lose hope at that time to looking for sponsorship because we
Mm-hmm.
only need just like let's say a few $1,000 for making a great music video, a good looking music video, but it's really really hard to reach out to sponsor that would have the same vision, would have the same goal as what we do. But it's really important on how we come together and find way, like figure it out on how we could make it possible. Like I'm gonna just say like we only have $3,000 on making the whole thing, not only for the music video but for the art experimental art performance as well. And that's also the key point of how we come together and create things like that, because it's not only the music video itself, it's the arts, it's the experiment with which talk about mental health. And that's also a good message that me and my whole team, like I really appreciate on how everyone come together and create this kind of arts, because we need more of that. I mean, like, we can enjoy like dancing music, we still love that, I still love dancing music, but at the same time we need this type of music, the message and the thing that we could give back to the audience on how impactful it is, to be an artist and give back to the audience. And to me, we still lack of that, I can say. And on the other hand, I mean, I can see another point of view on how people see us, the artists, again. Probably they see us as the entertainer. But to me, an artist can be a teacher. An artist can be like automatically we are the influencer,
Or
it's
healers.
like, yeah, or healers, I can say. Because at the same time, when you come to be the face of one thing, for example, like you're the public figure, people are gonna follow you, people are gonna, like, look up to you. And at the same time, people are gonna, let's say, just do whatever you told them to do. So
Yeah.
you have the power, you have the voice. And I can say that the way that